I spent most of my waking hours today trying to do some cleaning around the house, which is, God knows, it's long overdue. Unfortunately, up until recently, I've been traveling on average every other weekend, more than every other weekend, and have 2 or 3 days between shows, so house cleaning has suffered, as you might be able to tell from my dining table. Believe it or not, that's improvement. I went out to the yard and burned several cans and boxes and bags full of burnable trash earlier today after sorting things out and turning huge piles of not important right now paperwork into a nice small stack of file folders. And in the process, I managed to throw my back out because, well, nothing was heavy, but bending kills me. It's time for Kerbal Space Program. Hope you like my hat. Alright, let's get that off the screen. And the first thing I want to show you is this nice, beautiful vampire space probe, which is at the moment absolutely full of fuel and oxidizer. Off camera, I went very carefully around, and all of those stages from the Moon Miner missions that had docking ports and fuel left over, we sucked up the fuel, and we had just barely enough to fill this gigantic Kerbadyne S3 14400 tank. And we're going to use it later to refuel the asteroid retrieval probe. Technically, I've got a maneuver node set up, but I am going to clear that now because it's out of date. And the reason that I'm not going to go for this intercept is, well, the asteroid is here. It is within Kerbin's sphere of influence. It's 11 days from its orbital burn, but look at the angle. Now, granted, this orbital burn only costs about 40 meters per second, and there's only a bit over 400 meters per second left in this engine. Let's go ahead and switch to it. Here's the asteroid that we have to park in Minmus orbit. The problem is this asteroid is a hell of a lot heavier than it looks. And even with this stage half full, by itself this was like 1700 meters per second. With the asteroid, 431 meters per second, estimated. But more to the point, even if we get this special little orbit here, it will cost me a ton to make the maneuver nodes to send the refueler out here, because this orbit is almost exactly 90 degrees offset from Kerbin's equator. It's a polar orbit. So what I'm going to spend the first few minutes of tonight's show doing, we're going to kill that. I'm going to see if we can't get an orbit out here, or failing that, get a bigger orbit, because the higher the periapsis is, higher everything is, the slower our orbital velocity is in relation to Kerbin, which means the less delta V we need to burn to adjust it. Okay, for 92 meters per second, we get a moon encounter that produces an orbit for us. And we can use this to adjust the inclination. And once we've got the inclination of our orbit closer to the equator, then we send the vampire out with the refueling. And some people might say, well, it's not wasted money if you learn something from it. Bullshit. That is not quite perfect, but reasonably close. Now, let's see. How much delta V is it going to take to get any orbit at all? Not an outrageous amount. You're right that it's the more sensible thing to do. Facts, random fast reader, to build these things in a sandbox mode and test them there. But to me, that's part and parcel of this being hard mode. We're doing things the hard way and we're taking our lumps. That would have looked a lot more impressive if I'd done it out of map mode. But anyway, there's Eve. And we're flying past it at 4,700 meters per second, which sounds like a lot, and it is. But on the other hand, the last time I attempted to get into orbit around Eve, I made the mistake of aerobraking, even lightly through the atmosphere, at an orbital speed of over 6,000 meters per second. That didn't end well. Incidentally, one of the things that I did today, well, you might notice the wall scroll here behind me. That's one of the things that I pulled out while I was cleaning things up. That's a piece of stock that I knew was never going to sell, so I might as well use it for decoration. I also put a battery in this clock, and I'm regretting it now. That ticking is driving me up the wall. Just above Eve's Explodium C. Explodium, I like that. Now, you might remember from last time, I got mad at the game for not giving me the contract, and then Itsune kindly pointed out that I did not quite have enough ore in the tanks. I fell 60 units short of the contract. So, we are going back to Minmus. And there's our little frostball right now. Itsune, I know that the ore tanks are equal on both sides. I'm not 100% sure about the other tanks. So let's go ahead and check those out. Okay, both of those 224. Aha, you were very correct. I didn't, for whatever reason, unfortunate. And I bet I know exactly why. I refilled these tanks when I was at the high Kerbal orbit station. I bet I didn't refill these tanks. Yeah, and the more fuel we burn, the worse that's going to get unless I make adjustments right now. And that's actually a little bit closer. All right. This still isn't perfectly balanced, but it's now close enough that the reaction wheels should be able to make up the difference. Itsune, thank you very much for pointing that out. And let's... yeah, we're going to leave this as is until we have nothing else immediately time concerning. Tracking station, let's go back up to Gilly and complete that one's flyby. All right. Time warp up to the maneuver node, which we're not using. We're just going to do the quick flyby and woo! Okay. Warren 147 and Speedrun 184, welcome to the show and goodbye from the show because I'm going to ban your asses as soon as I have free attention span to do so. You could write a poem about this thing. ode to a small lump of putty I found in orbit of Eve one Sunday morning. Because, really, if this was any smaller, we could send a mission to redirect it into Kerbal orbit. And what with one thing and another, Random Fast Reader, either they bailed or you swatted them because they're not coming up in my users in chat list anymore. For which I thank you. All right. Unless we crash into Eve or Jilly, we've collected all the science we can in any reasonable fashion. Because this mission has accomplished everything and then some that it was sent here to do. And now the main goal is just to get home with as much science as possible. And it's more for the sake of roleplay at this point, because let me go into R&D and show you just where we stand on the tech tree. Okay, here's what we have left to get. Large probe core. That's a probe core size for Rockomax parts. Whoop-de-doo. Metamaterials. A bunch of adapter linking parts. And the biggest fairing. Slightly more interesting, but not that much. Although the Clampetron docking port senior for big ships might be worth getting. But if I want it, I've already got more than enough science to get it right now. And everything else that we're lacking is plane parts and nothing but airplane parts or spaceplane parts. And I am completely inept at building planes and have neither interest nor inclination in even making the attempt. This is likely to all remain unbought unless one of my Patreon supporters or a Ko-Fi donor dumps a bunch of money on me and says, I like laughing. Try and make a space plane. You throw enough money at me, and I will make myself look like a fool trying to build a space plane in Kerbal Space Program on hard mode. Otherwise, not. Random Fast Reader, I put it to you this way. If you liked how Moon Miner Part 4 went, especially the ending, then you will love watching me fly a space plane. You'll love watching me fly a space plane straight into the ground. I have the theory, but only the theory. The flat fact of the matter is I'm just plain bad at it, and I don't have that much in the way of patience. And it doesn't help that I have yet to be able to make a joystick work with Kerbal Space Program, and flying a plane with WASD controls is excruciatingly frustrating. It's Sony 9TL. I'd rather have you build a Space Winnebago. Well, throw money at it and maybe I will. You, what's your name? Barf. Your full name? Bartholomew. Are you the one getting married? No. Then get over there! Okay, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, all or nothing, especially when you're trying to land a damn plane, all or nothing is not what you want out of airplane controls. But, again, as I said, I have yet to be able to find a way to make a joystick work with KSP. Random Fast Reader, I have in the past built first tier level Juno engine planes that fly. Hell, I've done it on this stream back in the very first days. It's just not fun for me, and I'm not very good at it. Right. as I was saying, I'm going to kill this node. Instead, we're going to book one here. Yes. It's brute force, but this is the best way to go about it, I think. It's only 153 meters per second to zero out our momentum there. Don't do that. But if I drag it back up here and do it here, zeroing out momentum takes us 240 some. Which is not that bad, except then I would have to build a new orbit from scratch, and that would leave me only 110 meters per second. Not workable. So on the apoapsis, set this up to just zero out momentum, like that. And then once we've got it zeroed out, we can make a burn in the appropriate direction and still have 200 meters per second to make that burn with. Okay. And that is 15 days out game time. But I will spend a little time warping here, because it seems a shame to not do the Minimus flyby on camera. Not the moon flyby, I mean, not Minimus. Of course, it would be nice if I found KERBAL earlier. I didn't point it out to you because it was tiny, and with the low-res stream, you probably wouldn't have been able to see it. But now I'm wondering. Oh, there's Kerbin. Naughty planet, you were hiding. And there's the moon. There's the moon we're about to fly by. At a significant time warp, of course. Moon, pebble. Pebble, moon. Thank you. Christ. Okay, we're a lot lower than I really want to be, but also a lot short. We're going to have to do some driving. Yeah, it might help if I am a bit more careful about that. Fortunately, this is the moon. This is Minimus and not the moon, so I got away with it that time. All right, this thing is actually being easier to drive backwards than forwards for some reason. Not saying very much because I'm watching the speed just slowly tick up with my hands off the controls. And I'm feeling very grateful right now that this plateau is relatively smooth and entirely rock-free. Tally-ho hell, the last thing I want this thing to do is go yoiksing away. And the hell of it is we're sliding on the surface. It has to line up absolutely ass-on perfect. It was difficult when this thing was empty of ore. Now this thing is nearly topped off with fuel and ore. I'm just barely able to stop it from running off down even the slightest slope that we're on here. I'm on a rocket to nowhere. That is actually a halfway decent song. Look up Rocket to Nowhere. I forget who made it. I'm not going to play it here because it doesn't come from a Creative Commons source. It is a copyrighted BMI or ASCAP or something song, and both Twitch and YouTube would copyright strike. But look up the song anyway, it's pretty nice. Look up the video if you can find it, it's even better. Ba-ba-ba-boom. Ba-ba-ba-ba-boom, boom, ba-ba-boom. Ba-ba-ba-ba-boom, ba-doom, da-da-dum, 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 da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, 60 seconds, da-da-da-da-da-do-do-boo-boo, da-da-da-da-da-da, 60 seconds, ba-ba-ba-ba-da-da-dum, 60 seconds, ad break, 60 seconds, it's a damn ad, a stupid ad, 60 seconds, ad break, 60 seconds, stupid capitalism, 60 second ad break. And those of you who heard that are probably wishing you were seeing the ad right now. And then after Saturday, we're going to put up the those of you who are Patreon supporters, even to the level of $1, will get the poll. Kerbal Space Program Hard Mode will be on it. XCOM Chimera Squad and XCOM 2 Vanilla will also be on it. Even though nobody voted for it last time, I'm going to put Reciteer back up again because, damn it, I just like that game. Yeah, of course I like that game. It's about keeping a store and going into dungeons. What's not to like? Come on, Vampire. You've got big and fat sucking all that fuel that was in orbit. It's time for you to go on a diet. Do some running. 3, 2, 1. Jiggity jog, you stupid probe. Hello there. I'm a gas tank with a brain. I are smart. There are spaceship designs that will win for grace, win for stylishness. This is none of those. This is as utilitarian as it gets. Tune in next time, where we're going to fly another brick in space. That's what this is a space brick. Okay, that was excessive. Back on retrograde because we've badly overshot the mark. This thing has a TWR of 2.81? Shit! Kerbuck is what I'm calling the money in Kerbal Space Program. Instead of a buck, a kerbuck. Because Kerbal. I'm not going to call them dollars, not when the... go back to Space Center and I'll show you. The syndrome doesn't look like an F to me. It looks like... What it looks like to me is a square root symbol. VF, I guess, but... And funds... Funds is a lame name. I much prefer Kerbucks. Stonks, I've heard... I'm an old fart plasminium. I'm 46 years old. I am not hip and in with it, so as cute as Stonks is, I'm going to stick with Kerbucks. And of course, I buffer and the video quality gets worse, and for a moment I had a couple of more viewers drop in. They saw the channel, then they saw the crap, and they went away. Alright. Yeah, this is taking a very long time because very heavy object and the nuclear engine, although it's the most efficient thing in the game aside from the ion engine, it doesn't have that much in the way of grunt. It's astonishing. This is only a Class B asteroid. It must be almost solid iron. Resources, 92%. Yeah, this is almost solid ore. Most of you will not have seen this before because I was doing this off screen, but one of the contracts that we took up was to put a space telescope in a certain solar orbit about halfway between Kerbin and Duna. And it is just now getting to the burn point that it needs to be for its contracted orbit. Very simple, bare bones thing. Probe core, communications, power, telescope. And this thing has tons and tons of delta V, by the way. It's currently sitting at over 3,000 meters per second, and this burn, when we get to it, is only going to take 254 of it. And once this is done, it will automatically start searching the skies, and once it's found 9 asteroids, we will have the completed mission. Yay us. This burns a lot quicker because we're not pushing an asteroid with this ship. Reach designated orbit around the sun, check. Map 9 asteroids threatening Kerbin. Will happen passively over a length of time. Yada yada yada. And cycle that to make sure it's mapping. Alright. And at some point it will map 9 asteroids and give us money. And clear the contract. Oh. Extract ore from Minimus, deliver it to Kerbin. As soon as we looked in on this thing, we got the money. We got the money, which means all I have to do is dock this with the high orbit station and then find some way of getting rid of 2,800 units of ore so that we can reuse this thing for the mining contract on the moon. Live stream of Kerbal Space Program. Hey there, this is Kris Overstreet, the Redneck Gaijin. And how about SpaceX launch with the first crewed Dragon? Got called off today on account of weather. They're going to redo it for Saturday, roughly speaking about 1:30 p.m. Central Time. That's 2:30-ish Eastern Time. Anyway, station retrieval and ore ship special. The top part of this is a return to Kerbin craft capable of taking 7 Kerbins from the Moon space station or thereabouts back to Kerbin. I built this so that once we're done with the Moon miner, most of the Kerbals that are on it, including Bill, can be brought back home so we can send them on other missions. Then below this is another return craft, but this one only holds 3 Kerbals and up to 3,000 units of ore. This one I was going to send up to the high orbit Kerbin station, the gas station basically, so I could empty out the rover and send it to the moon, which will happen today. And then of course I'm going to bring the ore back to Kerbin, or attempt to, and then we're going to see what, if anything, the ore is worth if I try to sell it on Kerbin. Of course, that will entirely depend on how close I can get to the Kerbin Space Center. And, yeah. This thing the lower thing has 6 parachutes, and I only hope that's enough. Because this is going to be a heavy SOB when it comes down. Landed on the VAB like hell. I like having a VAB. It eventually turned out to be easier to dock the station to the ship than the ship to the station. At first glance, it looked like I had given this way too much Delta V here. But the thing is, once these tanks are full, this is going to be a heavy-ass ship. And every ounce of Delta V, every single meter per second that I can wring out of this is going to be welcome. This little Dumaflochet here is on docking ports. I'm going to attach this to the 3-person lander that I've left adrift up there, so that this will go through the decoupler that's clinging to it and let it dock with the space station. It'll become useful again, basically. Then we take this ship to the space station and dock it, and it's going to park there and wait until we get whoever we get back up from the surface of the moon. Remember, we currently have 5 Kerbals stranded down there, and every time I load in that broken base, it kraken some more. The last time I did, in order to get a Science from the Surface of the Moon contract, it did a backflip and stuff blew up. The Kraken is really playing with the thing. I went ahead and detached the unusable return ship from the rest of the station. Hopefully that will help with the krakening. But I do not want to load that in any more than absolutely necessary, which means the next time it loads in, if I have anything to say about it, will be when we land the other moon miner ship near it. And that is the asteroid redirect mission. Asteroid retriever and the vampire fuel ferry, which is trying to rendezvous with it. Neither one of them have maneuver nodes yet, because this thing is still outbound on its swing in orbit, and I need to wait until it's too early for me to judge where the rendezvous is going to be, or what maneuvers I need to make to get the adjustment. So those two are going to sit for a while, but they are on my mind. So first, time warp away from Kerbin, and there is a moon around here somewhere. Oh, you snuck up on me. Hello, moon. You're a big fucker. Random Fast Reader wants to bribe me to try to build an SSTO spaceplane. I can't give that a number, in all honesty. Because that is one of those challenges that fills me with dread instead of anticipation. 3 figures would probably do it, though. Random Fast Reader, if I say 3 figures, I'm not going to mean 999. But like I said, it's not something I'm willing to put a number to. In any case, I'm going to have to work on preparation for doing so, because in Kerbal Space Program, a successful SSTO is going to require fairly high-tier spaceplane parts. You can't do it on a Juno. Yeah, Random Fast Reader, the thing is, skill is, as far as building aircraft is concerned in this game, skill is something I do not have. Earlfin has been sitting in this thing for 242 days. I imagine she is about ready to be relieved. Anyway, if you hadn't already guessed, this is the lander, and this is the decoupler ring strutted on, so we can't get rid of it anymore. Retrospace, welcome to the show. We're starting out with small potatoes tonight, but we're going to get more and more ambitious as the night goes on. Okay. Yeah, set as target, thank you. And why did we just bump off? Thank you, RCS. Have I messed up this thing? Is this... No, the docking port appears to be correct on here. Okay. I'm going to give this one more attempt. But it might just be that this decoupling ring is going to prevent any docking of any kind. Well, retract solar panels first. And we'll see if that has anything to do with it. Okay. All right. Last chance, and we are locked on, perfect on target. This ought to damn well work. Okay, whatever else is wrong with this, this don't work. Next time I do this, I'm going to fix it so that one of these things is standing on its side, but first things first, we're going to get over here. No, this one. Thank you. We're going to get over here, realign these bad boys. We're going to see if this can be docked, this docking port is any good at all, now that I've got the defective crap out of the way. If this docking port is no good, if this ring is blocking it off completely, then I'm going to get Elbring off of there, and we're just going to bring her home on this ship too. Kind of running out of space. Alright, will you dock now? Nope. That is a useless ship because it can't be docked with. So if it's a useless ship, we might as well abandon it. All right. Earlfin is on board. There he is, Gus Rod. In just a moment, Gus Rod is going to have to run to catch the space bus. It's overshot a bit. All right. Here's Gus Rod in a pea pod. And Gus Rod is a pilot. Yay for him. Target. Let go of this. Let go of your useless craft. No, Random Fast Reader, I am very much not a charity. There we go, and... all right. Transfer. Earlfin is going to be the one who drives home because she's earned it by sitting in that can for 8 months. Incidentally, the reason that I'm doing this thing at all is once we dock that rescue ship with its 7 kerbal capacity to the moon station, we get about 100 grand for expanding, even temporarily, the moon station. Then the rescue fees for the 3 kerbals we're rescuing, once all of them are safe at home, pay for the rest of the rocket plus about 100 grand more. And that's not counting any money we get back from rocket parts or from the ore that we're going to be transferring at the gas station. Well, I already know the really important thing about space planes, which is they're really bloody hard. Whoa! There are a few things scarier than a poorly rendered moon. Alright, now we can get on this and, oh, get on retrograde. Get on retrograde. Quickly. We just had severe thunderstorms roll through the area about an hour and a half ago. Cooled us down to about 78 degrees. High temperature today was right about 90. And in a couple of weeks, it's going to get up to closer to 100. So, very much not Alaska. About as many trees, though. we're approaching at 0.5 meters per second. I'm not quite that close to the edge. Basically, my house is about... I'm near a place where 4 counties almost meet. And the county I'm in, obviously. But the distance to the other county lines, one county line is 3 miles away. The other 2 are not more than 5 miles away. Straight line, mind you. I live way the hell out in the forest. And I was thinking too much about being out in the forest, and as a result, almost screwed up the dock. There we go. And despite my best efforts, this thing is cracking again. There, turn that off. Reaction wheels are fighting each other. There. Crack and go home. Yeah, I want to dock this thing, transfer the ore, and get this thing off station as swiftly as possible. Because that is obviously not proving to be a stable arrangement. Yeah, the station with a waggly tail is not something I like to see. There we go. Almost in place. And apparently I finally fixed the crackening problem. Oh, stabilize, damn it! Get the weeble wibble wobble out of that. And rotate the ship so that there's no danger of us accidentally clipping off our antenna on the probe. If we lose an antenna off of the space station at this point, that's no big deal. All right. This is still going to have a lot of wobbling on docking because we're not coming in perfectly straight. But we're a lot straighter than we were a moment ago. And it looks like we're right on target. RCS off. SAS off. SES back on before we fuck something up. And off, and there we go, we have a dock. And we start pumping over all the ore, empty this thing out. There's not going to be a hell of a lot of fuel left on this station in just a bit. We know we can land the mining station on the moon. We almost did it with the other one, and the newer one is lighter weight and has almost as much thrust. This, though, we've only landed on Minmus. We haven't tested it on the moon yet. Undock. Ratchet wheel to full. RCS, back away. And that little fart is all the monoprop I left it, which is to the good. laden up with ore. This thing has 1,161 meters per second of delta V left. And the ship, as it currently stands, weighs at 61.3 tons. Hello, Kerbin. We're coming for a visit pretty damn soon. Periapsis, 11 minutes. Damn. That's unfortunate timing. That's unfortunate timing. Okay, we're going to keep it at 51 kilometers altitude, and we're just going to make this an aerobraking pass. How's our power holding up? Okay for now. And there's not much I can do about it now anyway. But I need to make sure to extend the solar panels again when we get past, get back out of atmosphere. Okay, without the lower stage, we are currently sitting at 50.8 tons, which is not as bad as it was. We'll probably come in at 40 tons, or maybe even slightly less than that, when I dump the final stage and just come down on all of this. And the question is, will 6 parachutes be sufficient? Well, there's more than one way to find out, but this is hard mode, so we're doing it the irreversible way. Okay, I'm only going to kick on the thrusters if I get heat warnings that are getting a bit too uncomfortable. Otherwise, we're just going to plow through on sheer momentum and let the wind slow us down. All right, we're going to increase the drag a bit. Yeah, as far as aerobraking was concerned, that was pretty much a failure. I don't think we've shaved off more than, I'd say, about 50 to 60 meters per second. Yeah, we're just barely below the level of the ore station. Yeah, that's not good. Looking at the map. Damn it. I would love to come down right now. I would love to come down right the hell now. Okay. I think we will try to come down right now. Alright, and this is where I burn out the engine. We're dropped below 90 kilometers altitude. Come on, finish burning, damn it. Okay. Stage. Retrograde. Good. Alright, our periapsis is 40.6 kilometers directly over Kerbal Space Center, which means we are going to go long and probably land in this ocean here. I hope. But we are definitely not going to hit the Bad Day Mountains. That's the really important thing. Okay, we got 3 no-name kerbals here. Well, 3 random name kerbals. Modus, Ronman, and Sigpond. Our weight coming down is 37.11 tons. Or put it another way, this is a heavy son of a bitch. We are big and heavy, and one of the consequences of that is we are not decelerating worth a crap. And my biggest concern at this point is I decided against putting drogue parachutes on this thing, and I may... Well, these 3 kerbals may briefly live to regret that decision of mine. But at least we won't hit those damn mountains, and that was the one thing I was worried about. I don't think I have ever attempted to land anything this heavy before. Okay, periapsis is still very nearly 40 kilometers. We just passed it, in fact. We're starting to go back out. The worrying thing is we are going to be way long. I badly misjudged the inertia of this craft. The plasma sounds are dying off. That's the game's way of telling me I done goofed. That is as much brakes as I can offer, as maximum air resistance without breaking something. And meanwhile, our ablator heat shield is about used half up after those 2 passes. 460 out of 800 units remaining. Sit rep. Looks like we're coming down either over desert or over this ocean, depending. If we go long, then we are in deep trouble. Ronman and Sigpond and Modus all look happy. They're confident. They're idiots. And meanwhile, Ronman is over here and saying, "Chillax, bro. I got this." You better got this, because I sure as hell don't. We're not going to hit the Bad Day Mountains, whatever else happens. On the other hand, I don't think we're going to get across this peninsula. No, we don't need more momentum, Random Press Reader. What we need is a lot less inertia. 37 tons coming down does not want to slow down. Making it to the water is nice, but I also need to slow down enough to where I can safely deploy the parachutes. I would not make a good NASA engineer. I'm not nearly paranoid enough. Uh-oh, what the hell? The heat shield is overheating. No, it's the ore tanks. The ore tanks are overheating. Come on. Okay, below 1,500 meters per second, but we're dropping below 18 kilometers altitude and descending pretty friggin' fast. Wigwag. 800 meters per second and slowing. 7, 6. Gonna be damn tight. 5, 4. Under 4 kilometers altitude. Under 3 kilometers. Still red light on the parachutes. 2, Modus, Ronman, and Sigpond learned the hard way. We needed drogues. We needed drogues. Now is the time to go up to Minimus and get started on moving the mining station. And the stage says that if I actually open up the taps to full, this thing will go like a scalded dog. TWR of 6.95. And apparently there's only 2 kerbals on here at the moment, Bill and Hillfield. The fact which probably makes Bill very happy indeed. Here we go. I said here we go. Why you not throttle up? Still no throttle. No throttle because no communications. My mistake. I should have looked at that. Apoapsis of 30 kilometers, so I'm going to let it coast for the moment. We're going to go ahead and convert the little bit of ore that these things hold into more fuel. That's the only reason I lifted off with any ore in the thing. But we don't want to have any ore in this thing when we land on the moon because we want the contract to be 100% pure moon ore. Okay, that gets us a periapsis roughly the same level as the moon, but we're going to have to make an inclination change later. Treehugger 206, welcome to the show. Handlebar Society, well, welcome everybody. I wish you'd rated about 15 minutes ago when I discovered the hard way that a certain vehicle needed drogue parachutes along with the regular ones. Turns out that ore is heavy, and heavy ships don't slow down so quick. Anyway, what we're doing is we're taking this surface mining station off the surface of Minmus, and we're sending it to the moon so we can finally complete that contract. After, this is the 8th stream we've been working on that. Handlebar Society, party of 13. Hello, guys. One's guy... yeah, ore is very heavy. I am sorry for the relatively poor quality of the stream. I am doing this off of DSL. My outbound ranges between 0.65 and 1 megabits. And I'm a little bit wondering... My stream monitor window hasn't updated since the 3 kerbals were going on what turned out to be their death ride. Okay. Oh. And what with you raiding and stuff, I missed my maneuver node. Yeah, I was really looking forward to KSP 2, but it got pushed back a year. And I'm really hoping that the Copernicus mod gets updated in the near future because I want to go ahead and try the fully expanded Galileo Planet Pack. This is the other part of the Moon Miner project. Until the start of this stream, this held almost a full load of ore from Minmus. Then we transferred it at a space station to a waiting ship that was going to return it to Kerbin, and that's what hit the water going Mach 1 about 25 minutes ago. This is, by the way, this is career mode on hard settings, which means no quick saves, no revert to VAB or to launch site, and when a kerbal dies, they stay dead. That is why we no longer have Valentina. Valentina was an early casualty of the... this tourist ship was ill-designed. But even with 60% money, 60% resources, and 60% science, we have pretty much filled out the tech tree except for the spaceplane stuff. Well, I am sad that Val went, but... And not just because for weeks afterwards, the only pilot that I had was Jeb. I thought I saw a moon That is technically a moon intercept. When? 5 days. It's also a collision course. But at this point, I'll take it. Come back here, planets. Stupid camera-shy planet. Bad, Kerbin. Bad. Bad. Now smile for the birdie. Do flirty. Do flirty for me. Oh, yes, do sexy. Now do unapproachable. They can't touch you. You are your own planet. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Right. Stay on maneuver node, please. Thank you. Okay. And it flickers in and out. That worries the hell out of me. However, one of my regular viewers has decided to throw money at me to get me to build an SSTO spaceplane, mostly so he can laugh at how horribly I'm going to fail. And I will fail because I am lousy at building planes in KSP. Okay, Eve probe, 5 hours, let's go. But since my main source of revenue, selling stuff at conventions, is not on at least until late July and probably until September, that is, somebody throws money at me to make me look ridiculous. Hey, dude, you want... Somebody wants to make me look ridiculous? Fine by me. I'll be ridiculous. Hell, actually, I'll be more ridiculous than that. Hang on a second. There we go. I'm not afraid to be ridiculous. All right. Moon Miner, 3 days, 4 hours. Ore Station, 2 days, and doesn't matter. 2 is less than 3. This is a thing I learned in school. 2 is less than 3. Okay, we did get an encounter with the moon. Yay, us. And it is very much an impactor. So this little burn to get us away away from the ground. Periapsis, 15 kilometers. That'll do. Incidentally, facts, lithobraking isn't always bad. I mean, after all, pretty much every Soviet launch lithobraked. It's just that they lithobraked from speeds of less than 30 meters per second. Alright, that's good enough. Periapsis 12, Apoapsis 49. It's not a pretty orbit, but it's enough to keep this thing parked and safe and ready to come down while we get the main base in. Yeah, thing to remember, every time you stand up, you are decelerating yourself at 9.8 meters per second every second because you're resisting the pull of gravity. Every time you walk around, you are flipping the middle finger to all, I think it's what, 5 times 10 to the 25th power tons of Earth. Screw you, gravity, I do what I want. Burnin', 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 keep those rockets burnin', fly us back to Kerbin, Jebediah. Keep that rocket flyin', 'cause if you don't, you're dying. Gotta keep that spaceship in the sky. Oh, crap, there's thunder. There's lots of thunder. Okay. How's that? Good enough. The hell. Moon intercept, year 2, day 426. That may or may not be true, but it's not helpful. That's better. Ish. 9 days. Well, it's probably about as good as we can expect. And we'll be cooking pretty fast when we come in. Showing no periapsis. This is going to be an impactor. So, gonna have to do a bit more jiggering to make it come down. Alright, 9 days more. Warpity warp. Alright, and we are now in Moon Sphere of Influence. And immediately we went suborbital, naturally. Periapsis minus 197 kilometers. Yeah, how about we fix that? There we go. 14.5 kilometers almost. And just out of curiosity, set target. Yep, we are orbiting in the opposite direction from the moon station, and I think from the pretty much everything else. Bill and Hillfield are smiling way too much for having been in this thing for nearly 4 months. What have they been getting up to while we're not watching? I mean, you know the space program frowns on strip parcheesi, don't you? No strip parcheesi. We have a licensing contract for sorry. You're gonna have to settle with that, okay? Okay. All right. Ideally, I want to set down in one of these little craters next to the crash site, because as I should have remembered, the best chance for level ground in that area is going to be at the bottom of a crater. At the very center of a crater. No. No, I'm going to decelerate and try to go as vertically as possible. Getting too low too soon was one of the reasons why I messed up the first time landing here with this big base. Not that I didn't make a whole bunch of other mistakes too, mind you. Needs more slow. That crater there, I hope will do. All right, let's start drifting down. GOG currently shows me at 550, but I put in a lot of hours before on different machines before I had this. So I'd put it at a ballpark of about 1,000 hours for me. But this particular game is as far as I've ever gone up the tech tree. Okay, looks good. Trajectory is coming down almost squarely on the back end of that crater, which means when we slow down in a bit, we'll center up. Take it off of retro. Okay. Let it drift down a little bit longer. We're still in good shape on fuel. Roughly 2,150 meters per second of fuel. Although every time this thing wiggles, it changes the calculation. And I'm going to cycle the legs just to make sure. All right. under a kilometer, descending very slowly. I'm going to drop it below hover and let us accelerate a little bit down. All right. .300 meters and descending. .200 meters at 11 meters per second. .100 meters at 6.2 meters per second. Looking good, except for the wobble. And we're down. We are down and safe. All right. There's your new home. Your home that isn't on its side. The home which hopefully won't go cracking every time it loads in. Okay, 1 transferred, 4 to go. I don't know why I did that, except that Hudka is a really stupid sounding name. Sonric, your nav ball is wobbling. I don't know. Did you brew something up from Minimus Ices again? They're controlled substances for a reason, Sonric. We have a reputation to uphold, you know? we're the premier space agency. We don't want people to know that we let our kerbals get 3 sheets to the wind and fly. Right. No, the miner is not the escape module. However, the miner is a surface base which is not tipped over on its side. I mean, if you had a choice between that moon miner and this broken moon miner, which would you rather? Get out from the ship and let's leave this bad idea behind forever. Forever! Been up here so long that she's beginning to think about changing her name to Jugular, as in cutting the throat of her fellow kerbals. Hopefully getting some new guests and a ship that's right side up will calm her down a bit. Low gravity and no snacks make Kerbal something. Anyway, that is all set. All 5 of the stranded kerbals transferred over to the fully operational mining station, which is very gradually refueling itself. Now, this one's got to be fairly precise because I very much doubt I'll be able to drive this rover into the crater. I've got to land in the crater. Warp a little bit up, and then really slap on the brakes. Shit. Really slap on the brakes. And we are off. Alright. That puts me down inside the crater, but just barely inside the right rim. Again, no good. Here we go. Straighten that up. Right, 10 kilometers and descending. Now almost perfectly on target. Come on. Under 7 kilometers at about 80 meters per second descent. Looking reasonably good. We're going to land inside the crater, that's for certain. And now would be a very good time indeed to switch to terrain and slap on the brakes right the hell now. All right, good. Under a kilometer, descending at 26 meters per second and very gradually decelerating. bumping up the deceleration rate a bit as we get closer to the surface. 500 at 16 descent, 15%, 12 now. All right. Descending at 10.4 meters per second, holding steady. Fuel for days. 300 meters. $200 meters. Okay. Under 100 meters at 5.5 meters per second. Legs are down, I think. Brakes on just to be sure. And dust. Engines off, and we're down. Nice and safe, and 250 meters away from target. Not bad. Okay, we are on wheels. Brakes off. That actually might be enough, just retracting the drills, because we've got a couple of legs here, that were off the ground. So with the drills retracted, this might be doable. And it was as simple as that. As simple as that. Those of you who are regulars will remember we had an asteroid redirect mission going. We haven't done much of anything with that tonight because the asteroid redirect mission had run out of fuel on a 40-day orbit of Kerbal. And I'm waiting to get an intercept so that I can get the refueling ship to rendezvous with it. After all the fussing around we've been doing, it is finally time to go to the Vampire Fuel Ferry and see what we can get for a rendezvous. And doing that gets us an intercept of 5.3 kilometers in 11 days. All right. Let's go ahead and time warp to that. Okay. And burning. Well, that is not how you want to discover that your UPS is crapped out. We just had a tiny power surge, a little power flicker because of the storm outside, and computer crashed. Boom. Which, among other things, means I've probably lost tonight's recording. Lovely. I'll have to download the Twitch recording at the much lower resolution for editing that when the time comes. And I apologize for that in advance. Let's see here. Let's play this again.
Never bothered me anyway.
Right. Again, that was a clip from Julia Koep's parody, Fuck It All. Which is pretty much how I feel after having that crash. Okay. Yep, rover's still here, still running. Very gradually. So I'm lagged. Whoop. No surprise there. .8 kilometers, 10 days, 2 hours, and such and so away. All right. And just so that you can see what we have to work with. Dumpy dumpy doo. There's the asteroid and the ship we're using to move it around. That big gas tank is going to come up here, dock with it, unload some fuel, but not oxidizer because this engine can't use it. And then go about its merry way for a while longer until I figure out what else to do with that fuel. And I think that's where we're going to pick up the next time we hit this save. Anyway, let me get the webcam off so I can take off. No, let me show you. Can I get... There we go. This is the worst hat I have ever bought in my life. And the thing is, I didn't buy one of them, I bought 24, because I thought they would sell. I didn't read the part about it being hard wool. You want to know what hard wool is? Hard. Also, as you notice, these ostrich feathers around the rim shed egregiously. But the worst part about it is this hard wool, one size fits nobody, perfectly round interior. Who the hell has a round head? Besides Oliver Cromwell. And we just got buffering, for Christ's sake. First I'm late, and now the servers are acting up again. Alright, let me switch servers one more time. Stand by. This is the 9th and probably final installment of the Moon Miner mission. Because we have the Moon Miner finally on the moon, it's produced a full load of ore. All we have to do is launch it, get it into Kerbal orbit, I hope, and then we have to retrieve the kerbals that are on site. Once we get that done, the Moon Miner is over. Over! To give you an idea of how long this has gone on in game, we launched the asteroid retrieval mission in Part 5. We launched it in Part 5 to get more money, and it's currently on mission elapsed time, mission day 158. Dubba-dubba-doo. Dubba-dubba-doo-doo-doo. Dubba-doo. Dubba-dubba-doo-doo-doo. I sing this because I like it a whole lot better than Jeopardy. Okay, there's the mining station. Here's our roller. I put it up on its landing leg so it wouldn't roll away, because with as much weight as it has, it's prone to do that. Okay, the contract calls for 2,400 units of ore. We currently have 2,410. The ship is completely fueled, except for monoprop, and we don't want a whole lot of monoprop. We actually have more monoprop than this thing originally launched with. Anyway. And Itsune and Random Fast Reader are going after their bit challenge again. Alright, in order to get our moon mining contract, we need this to get into high Kerbal orbit. So first, we're going to see how much fuel we burn by getting this thing into moon orbit. Will it fly? It has a TWR of 2.59. If it had a TWR of 0.25, it would fly on the moon. This thing will go, and it's got enough delta V to get to moon orbit at least. I'm not 100% sure about Kerbal orbit, though. We're flying in 3, 2, 1. The hell? Wheels. Reaction wheel, please. Now. What the hell? Oh. Quickly. Control from here. Thank you. That was nearly dead. Oh. Okay. For what you just missed. What you just missed was I was still controlling from the docking port, and the thing was going every place except where I needed it to go. So we nearly hit the ground face down before I managed to get the thing to control from the probe core and go in the direction I needed it to. And of course, that's not even going to show up on the recording because the recording will catch the still. And we've already left the moon miner and the wreck and everything else far behind us. The plan is, this is the moon here that I'm fooling with, the maneuver node in the orbit of the moon. We're trying to get here to the Kerbal High Orbit gas station, which is up here specifically for us to dock this thing to. "50 kilometers at 60.6 meters per second, a little more than 4 days away after the maneuver node. That will do nicely. Okay. 53.8 kilometers. That's pretty close to what we had before. But now I'm getting on prograde marker so I can let it stabilize. I'm not happy with this wibbly wobbly shit, by the way, but All right, we are now in Kerbin orbit, and technically we've already got the contract. We got the money. Yay. But this is still unfinished business. So, all right, lander's going down. I should put that differently. My God, I've got... Despite all the buffering, despite all the Twitch crap, and despite what's got to be a really lousy screen, I'm showing 10 viewers at the moment. I hope Pissed Off Redneck from Deep East Texas is amusing to you people, because that's all I've got to offer tonight. This has been Kris Overstreet, the Redneck Gaijin. And, yeah, it's been that kind of night. Thanks for watching, everybody. I appreciate it. Once I get caught up with Moon Miner, the next project is going to be editing the Rover Rally and the Mountaintop Rescue challenges. And then I might try to go through the low-quality Portal and Portal 2 playthroughs and make a highlights reel, if there are any highlights. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you next time, 7 p.m. Wednesday night. Here's the listings for Patreon. Here's the COG. Good night. Thank God. Good night, everybody.